Hey, what up? It's Brad with Home Love Construction. We're about to jump into a little bit more of a chill video about a talk that I gave to our company. I do one of these every month, and I'm just trying to basically, it's a bit of a feel-good video, and it's very idealistic, and the talk I'm gonna give is very up in the clouds. You know, we're up in the clouds, but I like to do that once a month to just reset us. And really, as a company, we're trying to build a culture of growth, and we're trying to really invest in our people a lot, because we believe that that is what's gonna get the best end product. I know it's like, what does the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People have to do with remodeling? If you think about it, it's people that do the work, and people do best in an environment where they can thrive. That's what we're trying to create. That's what this little talk I gave is about. I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy the video. If you have anything on your mind, I'd ask you to please just put that aside for like the next 10 or 15 minutes, and just, if you can really just kind of like focus in on what we're gonna talk about, I think that you're gonna get a lot more out of it. The past 2 months, I've talked about proactivity, right? So that's in this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The first habit, the baseline that you need to be an effective person is proactivity. We've really kind of hammered on that for the past 2 months, and I've really tried to go in really nuanced detail through what it means to be proactive. But this month we're gonna move to the second habit, which is something that we're all familiar with pretty intimately, and it's beginning with the end in mind. So that is the second habit, according to Stephen Covey, of a highly effective person, is they begin with the end in mind. What it really means to begin with the end in mind is you envision what you want before you start working towards it. He explains in the beginning of the chapter that there are 2 creations for everything. Everything is created twice. And the first creation is a mental creation. The second one is a physical creation. So think of a blueprint. If you think of a blueprint of a house, before the house is built, the house is fully created on a set of prints in extremely minute detail. So this comes back to the carpenter's rule, which is, can anybody tell me what the carpenter's rule is?
Measure twice.
And?
Cut once.
The cut once is implied on the shirt. So the carpenter's rule is measure twice and cut once. And the reason that is because if you're going to go through the effort of creating something, you should be sure you're going to be creating what you want to create, right? If you're something that, an analogy that Stephen Covey uses in this chapter a lot is climbing the ladder of success. That's what he calls it. And he talks about really beginning with the end in mind is making sure that the ladder that you're climbing is leaning up the correct wall. If you're climbing a ladder of success, but it's on the wrong wall, it's not a ladder that you even want to climb in the first place, then all that effort is for naught, basically. It's wasted. Really beginning with the end in mind is making sure that your personal ladder is leaning against a wall that you want to go up. In every chapter, he kind of expresses the fundamental idea in different ways that I just really like the phrasing of. So I really like to read his words exactly, because he puts it really, really well. In his words, it's incredibly easy to get caught up in an activity trap in the busyness of life, to work harder and harder at climbing the ladder of success, only, like I said, to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. And he says after that, if the ladder is not leaning against the right wall, every step we take just gets us to the wrong place faster. And this line is really important. We may be very busy and we may be very efficient, but we will also be truly effective only when we begin with the end in mind. For a lot of people in this room, including myself, a lot of what we do on a daily basis is probably not designed to get us exactly where we want to go. And that's okay, you know, like nobody's going to be perfect. But I would say for the majority of people, what they spend a lot of their time doing is not even self-directed. It's not even what they would consciously choose to do if they actually took a moment to consider where they want to be. And the reason behind that is not because people are stupid. It's not because people are unintelligent. It's not because people are incapable. It's actually because people are just programmed the mind is basically like a computer. And all humans get conditioned by early experiences, and then they just live out the same, basically probably the same 95% of their thoughts are the same every day. If you think about your thoughts on a daily basis, it's probably 95% similar to the thoughts you had the day before. And the way that that gets established is what you're programmed with in early childhood. That's the same for everybody, and that's pretty well known in psychology. All like the big psychologists talk about your early conditioning, basically setting the path for what you're gonna walk in life. But the thing that a lot of people don't consider is how that really comes out in their everyday activities. Like, you are literally, the way you react to somebody being rude to you is probably something based on something that you experienced when you were 3 or 4 years old, when you were rude to somebody, your parents smacked you upside the head or something like that, and they didn't even realize the effect that they were having on you at the time. So consider that the way that you're carrying out your day-to-day behavior is probably programmed by someone else. It's probably the result of an influence of someone else, and B, that person likely had no conscious conception of how they were affecting you when they did whatever they did. You're living out a program that wasn't even, A, it's not yours, B, the person who gave it to you didn't even have it planned out. I think if you really let that sink in, that's really powerful. Like, you only get to live once, right? YOLO, anybody familiar with that phrase? I mean, it's true though, right? That's why Drake's so popular, because he speaks the truth. You only get one life, so regardless of whether you're 35, 45, 55, 65, you still have a lot of life left. Nobody in here is gonna be dying next week.
Don't look at me like that.
Not you, Ben. It's not directed at you. And regardless of how old you are, you still have a lot of life left. So if you're not interested in directing the rest of your life, why live it at all? That would be my, and I know that's morbid, but like, that would be my basic question. The so what of that is, it comes back to the first habit of proactivity. Since you know what it means to be proactive, and if you're living out someone else's programming that they gave to you, you're inherently living a reactive life. Whether we're aware of it or not, we are in control, and whether we are in control of it or not, there's a first creation to every part of our lives. Either the second creation of our own proactive design, or we are the second creation of other people's agendas, of circumstances, or of past habits, right? So that's what I was talking about. And basically the way these two marry together, the first and second habits, is habit 1 says you are the creator. Habit 2 is the first creation. He goes into re-scripting, and so becoming your own first creator. So in order to change or even do anything about the way that you've been kind of programmed to live your entire life up until now, you have to first become conscious of what he calls them scripts you're running in your head. So he talks about 2 additional unique human endowments that enable us to expand our proactivity and to exercise personal leadership in our lives: our imagination and conscious. If you remember the first week, we talked about like 4 unique human endowments. One of them was conscious and one of them was imagination. So through imagination, we can visualize the uncreated worlds of potential that lie within us. Through conscience, we can come in contact with the universal laws or principles with our own singular talents and avenues of contribution, and with personal guidelines within which we can most effectively develop them. Combined with self-awareness, these 2 endowments empower us to write our own script, okay? So that's really what beginning with the end in mind calls you to do. And in developing our own self-awareness, many of us discover ineffective scripts, deeply embedded habits that are totally unworthy of us. That's really kind of the bottom line here, guys, is like, I know all of you personally, and if you examine your own behavior, when you don't behave in a way that you're proud of, the bottom line is like, you're better than that. You know what I mean? Like, every person on earth has basically unlimited potential. It's pretty crazy to be alive in the year 2019, where the internet is really like starting to do what it was promised to do. We have like phones where you can FaceTime somebody across the world like instantaneously. Really, the like human potential is becoming just less and less limited at all every day. So if you're not living your full potential, there's really just no reason not to. There's just like no excuse, like why wouldn't you? So to kind of round it out, there's basically a thought experiment in the beginning of this chapter that I want to read through with you guys. So if you can just focus with me it's probably going to take me 2 or 3 minutes to read through it. And while I'm reading through this, if you can just kind of like quiet your mind, and if you guys want to, you can close your eyes. But basically just please stay quiet during the next couple minutes for other people who are considering the thought experiment. So Clear your mind of everything except what I will invite you to do. Don't worry about your schedule, your business, your family, or your friends. Just focus with me and open your mind. In your mind's eye, see yourself going to the funeral of a loved one. Picture yourself driving to the funeral parlor or chapel, parking the car and getting out. As you walk inside the building, you notice the flowers, the soft organ music. You see the faces of friends and family you pass along the way. You feel the shared sorrow of losing, the joy of having known, that radiates from the hearts of the people there. As you walk down to the front of the room and look inside the casket, you suddenly come face to face with yourself. This is your funeral, 3 years from today. All these people have come to honor you, to express feelings of love and appreciation for your life. As you take a seat and wait for the services to begin, you look at the program in your hand. There are to be 4 speakers. The first is from your family, immediate and also extended, children, brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents who have come from all over the country to attend. The second speaker is one of your friends, someone who can give a sense of what you were as a person. The third speaker is from your work or profession, and the fourth is from your church or some community organization where you've been involved in service. Now, think deeply. What would you like each of these speakers to say about you and your life? What kind of husband, wife, father, or mother would you like their words to reflect? What kind of son or daughter or cousin? What kind of friend? What kind of working associate? What character would you like for them to have seen in you? What contributions, what achievements would you want them to remember? Look carefully at the people around you. What difference would you like to have made in their lives? So if you think about the bottom line of beginning with the end in mind, it's really considering what you would want people to say about you at your funeral, like how you really want your life, how you would want it to be bookended, and working towards that every day. Okay, so it's a little intense and a little maybe morbid, but if you think about how you want to be remembered and the impact that you want to have on people, I think that's a really good way to frame up how you're going to live your life. And does anything else really matter that much? I would argue not. So I would say if you focus on what we talked about and how you want to be remembered and what you want the end of the day outcome of your life to be, that'll help you to behave in a way that you're really proud of every day. And that's really what I would leave you guys with for the month of March.